We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because they hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3CGM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms or readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
The KSL Sports Zone of Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Question of the morning. How long do you think Kalani Sitake stays at BYU? Already done a decade, PK. That's pretty long run in college sports. On the other hand, if he wants to be the Polynesian Lavelle Edwards, he's 19 years away. Got a couple more decades to put in here. Obviously, it's been in the headlines here. Tony says, I have to believe he has more money than he can spend. I think legacy matters to him. If the athletic department can keep him happy, he'll be revered as much or more than Lavelle Edwards. He's staying as long as he wants.
Yeah, that's pretty much what every fan base thinks if their coach is winning. Mm-hmm. There were people who thought Urban was going to stay. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he'll never leave and that type of thing. So that the fans tend to think that.
But that last phrase that Tony published here on Facebook, he's staying as long as he wants. Yeah, and what if he wants is like 3-4 months from now?
Right.
I mean, I believe everything you said, Tony, including the last sentence. He's staying as long as he wants, and there's no guarantee how long he wants.
Well, you have to see what's available. I mean, just look at December, and talking to Riley Jensen yesterday, and he's a good friend of Jay Hill. Got Jay Hill on the show while you were gone a couple weeks back, and in the beginning of the month, he thought there was a good chance that he was going to be the BYU head coach, and the end of the month comes, and he's the defensive coordinator at Michigan. I mean, you talk about...
You never know.
In a span of 3 weeks.
Right.
That is crazy.
It is, and yet that's college sports today.
Right. You have to strike, and obviously he has a long-standing relationship with Kyle, and Kyle wanted him, and, you know, it was an unbelievable opportunity, and he took it. We understand all that. And so what's to be available? And it just doesn't have to be, well, somebody is not doing the job. You know, Lincoln Riley's under the spotlight. He hasn't won the level that SC wants, that expected to, with the big fat contract and the $17 million house that they have, that he has in Palos Verdes Estates overlooking Catalina on a clear day, right? $17 million. And
awesome.
Yeah, right.
I dare you to go up there and find something to complain about. Yeah. I guess you could say, well, it's up on the hill. It's a long way down to the beach and the surf and PV with, you know, mostly rocky cliffs.
Yeah. Well,
I guess they found something to complain about there.
3 or 4 miles tops to where you want to get in the water, if that's what you want. And plus, there's a surf area there that has been under dispute for years, because if you're not from there and you go there, they rough you up. And that has been ongoing for many, many years.
Locals only.
Yeah, and so, but that doesn't mean that he has to have a bad season. He can have a great season, and the fill-in-the-blank NFL team can come. Right, that's a possibility too. Everybody's looking, if he doesn't go in the playoff, he's going to be under the. Well, he can go to the playoff and actually win the whole thing and still be gone. You just don't know what's going to be out there, and that could be anybody. Can happen. Lanning over there in Oregon, up the coast a little bit. Mm-hmm. It could be him. You can go down the list of coaches, and everyone's searching for a great coach if you don't have one, right? And who knows what could happen. So it's impossible to say, and that is the point. Yeah, most likely he has some stature where if he wanted to be there the next 3 to 5 years, he absolutely could be. But who knows? I mean, he clearly has frustration. There's just no doubt about it. And I've spoken to enough people to know and you go read what I wrote at KSL.com I think I put it in a synopsis pretty good. from Kalani's perspective. And here we are, and these are real issues. And the statement that he made when we were there in December, I want to win, but I want to win, which means I want to win it all. And with that in mind, if I don't think it can be done here, then I'm going to go someplace else, even though that spot is really good. Lane Kiffin could have had a statue at Ole Miss, right? There's no doubt about it. But why did he take it? Because he thought LSU's a better job.
The odds of winning it all at LSU are much better than the odds of winning it all at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
LSU's done it. Ole Miss hasn't. LSU's done it multiple times.
But he could have been the ultimate football coach at LSU or at Ole Miss, and he would have been richly compensated and blah, 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 blah. But he chose to leave because on paper it looks like LSU is a better program, right? So he left. Well, that could be the same thing here.
Zachary, if they have another season like the one they had last year, someone will back up the Brinks truck for him, and he'll have to decide if Ryan Smith's money is enough to keep BYU competitive long term, or if he wants to chase a title with a Big Ten team.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it all on Ryan Smith. I mean, it's an easy because he's the most identifiable booster, and he's rich beyond his wildest dreams, I'm sure. But I think it's more than that.
And you more than think it.
Yeah.
You believe it and know it. And I do think that the whole crumble cookie thing helped shift some of the spotlight off Ryan. I mean, obviously Ryan's very wealthy and he's high profile and he's public facing, and so people know his face and his name. But now people are starting to see some of the other faces and names.
Kevin Young talked about that when he flies out of Salt Lake and drives back to Utah County. He said he passes his 10 multimillionaire entrepreneurs. Right, and so, and they're there. I can name you other names that wouldn't mean much to the public, but they're out there. So, yeah, with that in mind, and crumbles there. I had a crumble cookie in downtown Chicago a couple weeks back. I split it with my wife. I want to be healthy here.
Nice.
Got
to be light on your feet chasing a foul ball at Wrigley?
We were doing a lot of walking that day.
Okay.
So... there are others out there. What's it going to be? What's it going to be with his next offer, which I believe will come? He's only 50 years old. He'll turn 51 in October. So he's got 15 years minimum if he wants. And he's such a just a warm person. And remembers names and is just he is the true people person, and people like being around him because he makes you feel good. He makes you feel like, wow, you're important to him, and it doesn't matter who it is. And it's so natural. It's not phony. Riley, we were talking yesterday, and he brought up the big thing about Sarkisian. He really came down hard on Sarkisian. I don't know if you heard that while you were gone. And his big thing was authenticity, authentic. You've got to be authentic, right? And we had on Eric Kerr, who Riley knows and has known for many years, and he's the Weber State coach, and they kick off here in a couple of weeks over in northern Colorado on Friday. And I was teasing him, I saw him at Corner Canyon, and he was like a god there, man. I mean, he owned the place.
You've told me stories about going to basketball games there, and he would come over because your wife was on the staff in the athletic department as a PE teacher and coaching, assistant coach for girls golf. And so obviously they knew each other and
we
interacted.
Support the teams.
Yeah, and you were telling me stories about the way people came up, whether kids or parents, or in the way people talked to them. Right. You were almost like, oh, in the background.
And I would sit next to him, and we would just yuck it up a little bit. And so I said, now it's going to be different because you had the 15 and 16-year-olds mesmerized. Mm-hmm. Now you're going to get 20, 21, 22. And he said, well, you got to be authentic. And Riley shot me a look. See, I know what I'm talking about. and where I'm going with this is that I don't know that I've ever met a more authentic person than Kalani Sitake. Certainly in the coaching world, and I've met several, but he's authentic as they come. And that is important. So if he has another good season, absolutely they're going to be, if there's opportunities, they're going to come his way. Because he's had multiple opportunities, so why wouldn't he? And then he has to decide. BYU has to decide what they want to do. Do they really, really want to go in and win? When I say at all costs, I'm not talking about reducing or changing the moral implications of the honor code and all that. I'm literally talking financially. When I say at all costs, they're not going to strip away the foundation and the connection with the Latter-day Saint Church. It's never going to happen. We all respect it. Great. But I'm speaking specifically money. Are they going to be in it at all costs? Because the costs are constantly rising. And is that something they want to do, or they want to say, hey, we've got enough to be competitive, now it's up to you? Well, that's not going to be good enough for some people, and maybe it's not good for Kalani. Apparently it isn't good right now.
So the question then is the bar set at the top of college football at $40 million, at $50 million, at $60 million, at $70 million? It's changing all the time. It's a moving target. That discussion changes every year. And then what is BYU's number in relation to that?
Right.
Kalani does have an emotional tie. If the top number is 50, and if he's getting 45, he'll probably come back to a meeting and say we need $5 million more. But I don't think he's leaving over that. Now, if the bar is $40 million and they're at 15, you're at risk of losing him. And I just think you are.
Fair.
So, and then those numbers, and I find this very hard to cover and frustrating, because talking to people about this, which I think all of us have been since, this stuff started coming out about a week ago, people will quote you numbers and they're not quoting the same numbers. Some people quote by percentage. Some people quote last year's numbers. Some people are quoting this year's numbers. I thought you brought up an excellent point, because I wondered how much of this is Kalani worrying about money for 2027. And you're like, why don't you think he's worried about money for 2028? He's talking to juniors now, and we've heard the stories, is it the first or the second or the third conversation when the parents bring up money? It's coming, and they don't like it when it's the first thing, but they know it's coming. And maybe some people do hold off until the second or third or fourth conversation.
They do. Everyone's turned off if it is the first and foremost 90% priority.
Right.
And BYU's had that, and they've
moved on.
Yeah.
Moved on to other kids.
I can name names.
Yeah. Don't prioritize this guy. Let's go prioritize somebody else.
Right.
And so you're right. I mean, Kalani is looking at this through, hey, what is it costing in 2027, 2028, and 2029? And they're starting to have those conversations with kids, sophomores and juniors. I mean, we always hear about the eighth grader who's been offered, usually by a school who can't land them, who wants to get their name out there. That's the way that game tends to be played. So he's looking at all those things, and what is he thinking? When I was just getting started in radio, a bunch of us did college radio together at UC Santa Barbara, and then several of us, one kid was older.
You can chop Jim Rome's name. Go ahead.
No, this isn't a Jim Rome story. It's Dan Kerman, Jamie Riddell, if you
But
must
you got
know.
a relationship, so it's legit. You're authentic.
I know. I am, but in this case, it wasn't Jim. Jim wasn't at the station yet when this happened, although he came through the same station. He left and worked for his dad's business before he got back into radio. And so Dan, who was a year older and had been at KTMS earlier, we had, as we were talking yesterday, we had crazy managers and owners, but we were protected by the news director, who was awesome. And he was already turning into Mr. Santa Barbara, and he was in his late 20s. He acted like he was in his late 30s. He was so mature, and he had so much vision about the way the business worked. He was amazing. And so he would go to lunch, and sometimes he's chasing a story, and sometimes he's meeting a friend. He's working splits mornings and afternoons. So if he's gone for a long lunch, it doesn't matter. He's still putting in a 10-hour day. His name was John Palmentary. And John would come back, and Dan was always freaking out about whether John was meeting with somebody from TV to jump to the only TV station in town, KYT. And he would always pester John. And finally, one day, John had enough, and he looked at him and goes, Dan, I could be here 5 years. I could be here 5 minutes. You're going to have to learn to live with that. We thought that was hilarious. Jamie and I thought that was hilarious. Some other people on the staff who heard it thought it was hilarious. We all repeated it to the people who weren't there. Everybody was laughing. And then we gave Dan a hard time. It's like, Dan, you're looking for a TV job too. They're not paying a lot of money in Radio Market 170. Nobody thinks this is a career. No, there isn't one person who thinks you can live in this job for the next 40 years. We're all looking. We have to. And sure enough, it was like a year later, John left. And I have used that line so many times. It's so true. And you have to change the numbers. I could be here 30 years. People talk to us about being older. And I'm like, well, you plan for retirement and you plan what you want to do. But let's be honest. We've all gone to funerals for people and like, you didn't know it was coming. And it's shocking when it happens. And then you got to go to a funeral for somebody. And you're like, we could all be here 30 years. We could be here 30 minutes. You know, you got relatives, take your age plus 30. You could be here 30 years. You could be here 30 minutes. And I think that's the thing for Kalani right now. I just don't have a good feel for this. I go back to John Palminteri and Dan Kerman and think Kalani could be here 12 weeks. He could be here 12 years. Don't know.
You don't. There's just no way. Especially in that world where things happen and happen quickly. When we used Lincoln Riley as the example, well, when he took the SC job, all of us were surprised because we thought, wow, Oklahoma, I mean, that's a hotbed right there, you know, and they've had a long history of great football. Yeah. And so it was a surprise.
He was barely getting started when he was there. It's like 4 or 5 years.
And he's a younger dude.
Yeah.
And he could have built a Switzer-like legacy without the shenanigans. And he chose to take off, right? And that's why they hate him over there. So you got that going on too. So you really never know. And Kalani could be here for 20 years. Yeah. I mean, I hope he is because I'll make this announcement right now. I plan to keep this job for another 20 years.
You could be here 20 years. You could be here 20 minutes.
2046, huh? Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah. How do you think I work out every day?
Yes, we know you hit the bench every day. We get it.
I don't do bench every day.
You tell us that.
Well, I know, but the health club asked me not to.
Enough showing off. Got it.
All the people gawking can move around.
Too much traffic.
Well, that would give you like 15 years to see if the Utah Outlaws can win a World Series.
Oh, yeah, man. If I'm still working and they announce it, I got to go a couple more.
You got to, man. We got to go out to the ballpark.
Right.
Some random Monday night, and the Padres or Diamondbacks are coming to town. Let's go to a game.
The only thing that could change that, if it happens, and I hope it does, that if they gave me like a lifetime press pass. So I'm retired, but I still can get in and hang out in the
for
press
your
box.
Incredible contribution to the sports media.
Yeah.
Here's
Steve Starks is your path to that.
Right.
That's your path. We've known Steve a long time.
Now, I have friends who have lifetime ball passes to all ballparks.
That's because if you're a beat writer, how many years do you have to do it? Is it 20?
I think it's 10.
10? Okay.
And you have Hall of Fame credentials.
10 years as a beat writer. Get a lifetime pass.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. And I have some people, I know people well who have that.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Darnell Dixon, the Daily Herald at 9 o'clock. It's a Win Tickets Wednesday. We'll give those tickets away. You want to do it after the break, Yak? All right, on the other side of the break, Win Tickets Wednesday. Concert tickets will send you out to Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. Motley Crue coming to town. Stay with us. We'll do that next.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoe.
For Utah, it's offense and maybe defensive line, but primarily the offensive line. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I got to dig a little deeper here. But honestly, the more I kept looking at it, the more I kept thinking, it really comes down to those two position groups. Can Utah have offensive linemen that can step up?
You know, I think the big question mark outside of the offensive line for Utah nationally is Morgan Scalley.
Yeah.
But, nobody even talks about that around here because I think everybody has a real comfort factor with the way things looked in that bowl game, honestly. But the bottom line was they were sharp. They took advantage of opportunity more so than maybe a Whittingham team would. It felt like the guys were loose and ready to ball. That's like a sign. And then you hear all the stuff from the guys, how happy they are.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is time to give away the tickets on a Win Tickets Wednesday. Caller 12 at 801-575-ZONE wins a pair of tickets to see Motley Crue and the return of the Carnival of Sins tour with performances from Guest Tesla and Extreme at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on September 21st. Call right now, 801-575-ZONE. PK, we were just talking about sports and coaches, and you never know. You never know how long someone's going to be in place. You never know how long before something surprising is going to happen and everything is going to change. And while we were talking about it, something happened in sports and everything changed, and nobody would have predicted it when they went to bed last night or when they got up this morning. And yet, as we sit here at 8:32 in the morning, the Lakers have been sold for $12 billion.
Quick update I literally just came across, $12.5 billion.
Don't want to cheat him out of another $500 million.
Came down.
American businessmen Josh Kushner and Bob Iger, a record-breaking price. There are many stories. There are many threads to follow here. What kind of owners will these guys be? It was Mark Walter, who owned the Dodgers, and he bought them from the Buss family for about $10 billion. So now it looks like he's making a 25% profit flipping them in basically the snap of a finger here. And we thought, hey, the Dodgers are run well. The Lakers will be run well. This is going to be a tough hurdle for everybody in the West. Here come the Lakers again. The Busses were hampered. They didn't have enough money. They couldn't build out the front office, the scouting department. We've heard all those stories. And that helps everybody in the West, including the Jazz. Well, now Walter's going to run it right. Well, now Walter isn't going to run it. Kushner and Iger apparently were hip deep in trying to get the Vegas expansion team, and they pivoted. Who needs an expansion team in Vegas when you can get an iconic franchise in L.A.?
And I thought those California taxes. State taxes.
Yeah, well, it's the Lakers, though. It's worth it.
Yeah, Iger is the Disney guy, the ABC guy. Kushner, born in Livingston, New Jersey, a few miles away from where I was born, and his older brother's Jared, who is married to Donald Trump's daughter.
Yes. I think people recognize the Kushner name now. It's been in the headlines a few times.
But the Kushner who buys the Lakers, he married a model named Kloss is her last name. Oh, and she voted straight Democrat since 2016. I think got a little conflict here.
Conflict in the family. What is Thanksgiving like?
But she converted to Judaism before she married the guy. And shortly thereafter, they bought a house in Miami for $23.5 million.
State taxes.
Yeah.
Residence. Established residence.
Beach.
Visit L.A. Beach.
East Coast.
Yeah.
East Coast people.
Jersey to Miami. The familiar story.
Oh, yeah. When I grew up, I thought there's no chance that I'm ever going to get to heaven. I knew as a kid that heaven is out of the question for me.
You were doomed.
But I thought the closest thing.
Miami?
Yeah, because you heard about it all the time.
I heard about it, and this is like a stupid thing. It's 3 trees, but all I see is the Orange Bowl of my youth, and on TV, the end zone to the right. I don't know if that's north, south, east, or west, but the end zone to the right had no stands, and there were palm trees. And they would have a handheld camera on the ground, and they'd take a shot of whatever in the end zone. In the background, you see the palm trees, and they'd be blowing you see the palm fronds blowing in the breeze. I thought, yeah, Miami must be awesome.
Well, and of course, with my contrarian nature, I went to California.
Absolutely. If everybody in Jersey's going to Miami, you're not doing that. I know. Go to Florida, you losers. I'm going to the Rose Bowl.
I'll never understand what's wrong with me.
You enjoy the Orange Bowl. I got the Rose Bowl.
I went the other way. I got a zig when everybody zags. So, we'll see what that means. What level of activity, hands-on.
What kind of owners are they?
Yeah, you never know.
What kind of franchise do they run?
Right. I mean, certainly it's always been this way if run correctly, and there's been some blips, the advantages are overwhelming. And that's why they have won all the titles and have been in all the finals and blah, blah, blah that they've been in. It's true. That's why I always felt like if now the responsibility and accountability has been passed to Ryan Smith and his folks, but if they could ever just get one here, it's got to be worth 10 there.
Well, you and I have been to Milwaukee. We've done some shows from Milwaukee because they're there for an NCAA tournament. I feel like I know just a little bit, but I don't know much. But I've always felt that's the kind of city, and Salt Lake goes in that group. And when Milwaukee won, my image of that isn't plays or Giannis doing something. It's that as they were calling the game, there were video that people all around Milwaukee were going to the arena just to be outside when they won it. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't happen other places.
Well, no, I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, we saw New York,
That just blew my mind.
Toronto. It's the summer, so you can get away with it. And the finals. If it was in the winter, it'd be another
I
story.
don't have a ticket. I just want to be outside the arena when they win it.
I think they do that.
That's awesome.
But Milwaukee still is in the Midwest, obviously, not that far from Chicago, and they've got multiple professional sports. Now, we're getting there, but I still view that as somewhat easier than here. We are really isolated, man. Yeah. 8 hours from Denver, 6 hours from Vegas, 10 hours from California. Nobody talks about North.
It's just 5 hours to Boise.
But nobody tells you.
nobody tells you that.
So what?
Yeah.
Boise, when I first got here, started hearing about Boise, and they told me, it's just a smaller Salt Lake. Mm-hmm. Wow, this is already small. But then I've been up there many times, and it's a fine place. I've got no problem with it. But nobody ever talks about that. It's always...
we're so far from Vegas, and we're so far from Denver.
And Phoenix,
right.
and L.A. I mean, that's basically where it's at. So we are viewed as out here nowhere, and that's why I think it would be so awesome if it could ever be accomplished. I still have faith that one day it will be. I have no idea when, but we'll see how that plays out in the next 5 to 10 years if it can be done. I think it can be done. I believe it can be done because my belief is more based on want rather than strictly faith. I still think, if you make good decisions, your time will come. And if you do all the things that you're supposed to do, your time will come. And you can argue, well, the time did come and they didn't get it done. Okay. But now with the new regime and, we're 30 years removed from that, it's crazy to think that that's where we're at, coming up on the 30th anniversaries here next year. But for the Lakers, there's no question that it's easier. The built-in advantages. And it's not like the league set that up. It just is. I'm not conspiracy guy that, the referees, we've got to extend this to at least 6 games so everybody can make more money, blah, blah, blah. I do think stars get preferential treatment, and so get stars and you'll get preferential treatment. It is an entertainment league, a product, and nobody wants to go see whoever the stars are foul out. No one wants that. No one. No, they pay too much money. And even if you want your team to win, I don't know that you want to see Kobe Bryant foul out if he comes to Salt Lake. If it's late in the fourth quarter, but not where he's hampered and he can only play 20 minutes because of foul trouble. I don't believe that they do that. If it happens, it happens. So there's no question they have advantages. And now these people here are just obscenely loaded. And what does that mean? There are, what would you call them, restrictions put in place that you can only do so much unless you really want to go crazy and don't care about anything. But even at that, I'm not sure that gives the Lakers just a huge advantage because I don't know that guys want to go someplace. If you can be the top dog somewhere, do you really want to go elsewhere in your prime where you're the 4th or 5th guy?
Doesn't sound good.
Right.
It's not the nature of the sport.
It isn't. Not at all.
You could go somewhere, not that starting pitchers matter the way they used to, but you got to have 5 of them. And now with all the arm injuries, you got to have 7 or 8 of them. And so if you're the 4th starting pitcher, you're going to get the ball as often as the first one. And so just go be an ace. Dominate when you play. It doesn't really matter. I mean, there'll be those discussions. But if you're awesome, you're awesome. And basketball doesn't work that way.
So what does this mean for the competitive balance of the league? I still think that you have to run it effectively. And for the Jazz's sake, if they run it effectively and make shrewd moves, then they will be fine.
There was a time when the Dodgers were bought by Fox. There was a lot of doom and gloom. It's like, wow, they've got all this money behind them and there's no salary cap and they're going to dominate and they're going to be awesome. And it turned out to be one of the worst chapters in Dodger history. Fox didn't run it any better than CBS ran the Yankees when they owned them for a decade, and Steinbrenner came in and rescued them.
Right.
You never really know. You can look on the surface and think this is going to be awesome, but you don't know. Kushner and Iger put out a statement, And our long-term commitment is to build on that foundation, compete at the highest level, and serve this extraordinary team, its fans, and the city of Los Angeles. Sounds good. There's no way to know what that's going to translate into on the court.
There really isn't.
Deeply honored to become stewards of the Lakers, one of the most iconic sports franchises in the world. So
And they are.
They say all the right things. They shout out Jerry and Jeannie Buss. Immense respect for the leadership and vision of Jerry and Jeannie Buss. So they're saying all the right things, but what's that going to mean when they're hiring for their front office?
And I like that word in the professional sports realm, stewardship. Because it is a community thing, even though an individual or a corporation or a family, whomever, may own it. And I think Larry Miller understood that. And there's overwhelming evidence that he understood that because he put his financial worth on the line because he understood that. You wonder. I guess
they mean it?
Local ownership here means something because we're smaller. Does local ownership there really mean anything? Is it any difference? These guys, the Kushners, they're Jersey people. I knew it had to have been. I just knew
You
it.
just knew it.
I did. I just knew
When
it.
I dig into this, what am I going to find? You were clicking on it in the break.
Yeah.
You reported it to me.
Right.
Their town, how far is it from your town?
Oh, 5 minutes.
I get your point. I think it does matter, but it doesn't matter the same way. These smaller markets, anything from market, 15 to market 50, smaller markets, it matters. You want the local ownership. I don't think the absentee ownership tends to be as committed. Certainly, they're more likely to move the teams. The local ownership rarely does. Now, having said that, there are always outliers, so there's no guarantees. I mean, the Rams did get moved. They got moved to St. Louis. And the guy who moved them back to L.A. was from Missouri. Go figure. And, take them back to the bigger, more glamorous market.
So what you're saying, in a few years, we can look forward to the Seattle Lakers. Which would actually be a more appropriate nickname.
Well, they got Lake Washington there, right? So
they got lakes all over the place.
It'd be something. They got more water there.
Yeah. I mean, the San Juan Islands. There's lots of water there. But, yeah, I don't know that it really matters. But I like the word stewardship because that's essentially what you are. At the same time, you're going to own it, and so you want to be responsible financially. But there's no way you're going to lose money on this.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Most of these owners seem to own for about a generation. I think, 15 to 20 years is a pretty common time span, although you can find longer ones. And you can find places where they get sold when someone dies, and that just happened with the Blazers. But you can also find multiple teams that have been handed down inside of families. Ironically, that doesn't tend to work very well. There are exceptions, but, the Lions and the Bears and the Giants have all been handed, the Cardinals have all been handed down inside of families.
Yeah, well, the Steelers have.
Yeah. The Steelers are probably one where it's worked better. That's probably the best example there is. Now, the Lakers were handed down and it didn't go great. Chiefs were handed down and it didn't go well for a while, but now obviously it's been going great since they made the last coaching hire, brought in Andy Reid. But they were sitting there on 40 years with no Super Bowl. And like only one or two AFC
the
title
Cowboys
games.
will be. The Yankees have been.
Yankees have been, and you're right, the Cowboys will be. And there are plenty more examples.
And
keep going.
Iger's in his 70s, but Kushner was born in 85.
So he could have a good long run if he chooses.
Right.
He could own the team 30, 40 years. See how it works out.
So he's 41.
Yeah.
Right? If you were born in 85, you're 41, right?
So if he owns his team at 71, 81, 30 or 40-year run is a very...
Oh, yeah.
Although that's what Jerry Jones is turning in with the Cowboys.
Uh-huh.
He's past 35 years now. He's not to 40 yet, but he's closing in on it.
Yeah. But he's
something else.
I think
he's something else. You're searching for a word.
I want my owners to be visible, but I don't want them to be dominantly visible.
In the way. And he's in the way. He's injected himself too much into the football side.
But He has, and I get they have the right to, but it seems like he's caught up in the fame of it.
Yes.
Not just the personnel decisions, the fame of owning the arguably the most glamorous franchise in the NFL, which is the most glamorous sport.
He wants to hear his voice on a weekly and sometimes even daily basis.
Right.
And that's too much.
Right.
Be the owner and come out in front occasionally in big moments. Maybe you set a thing where it's once or twice a year.
I like him to be involved.
Yeah.
But not running to the cameras
I think
I am swallowed up in this fame. Back that down a little bit. Back off that a little bit.
I would be afraid if they weren't involved. That would bother me. Like, you need to be involved. It needs to be guidance, goal setting, investment, big decisions, and then you hire the people and then you step away. Yeah, you're in the room for the draft, absolutely. And you're consulted, but you're not vetoing stuff and determining daily and weekly decisions. No, that's why you hired people. Get out of their way.
And you're just swallowed up in the fame of it, and that sort of bothers me. I get so tired of watching him, the shots in the box. What makes him so special?
Well, he's a lightning rod, and people love him or hate him, so that's why the TV networks do it.
But I don't need to see him watching a game. What is he going to do?
I get it. Now, I don't think, we see a lot of Robert Kraft, and he's a lightning rod, but I don't think he gets in the way in New England. Help make main decisions, set goals, guidance, but then get out of the way and let football people handle things week to week and day to day. But we see a lot of him. I mean, pictures of him, Bob Kraft's walking down the sideline before the game. Yeah, when he owns the team in the stadium, he gets to walk around. Yeah. But he's not in the way. He hasn't been. And when he got it wrong, he pivoted, and now it looks like they, we're in a much better place. They're back in the Super Bowl. But he had to step in with the guidance when everything blows up in the offseason and the coaches apparently had an affair with a reporter and there's all kinds of stuff. Well, you got to step back in and make sure the train gets back on the tracks. We'll see how things work for the Patriots this year. But the Lakers are sold. $12.5 billion. Josh Kushner, Bob Iger. What are they going to do? Find out. And now who gets the team in Vegas? LeBron said he was out on that. Is he back in now? Is there another group? How's that going to impact expansion? What'd you say?
The Walton family. Apparently they are the front runners. So we're talking
Bill Walton?
Not that Walton.
Not that Walton.
The Waltons who own Walmart.
The Walmart Waltons, not the San Diego Waltons.
Because then Luke would be the coach.
Yeah.
So they'll own the Broncos. They'll be scattered all over.
But they have like 6 kids or something like that in the Walton family.
So it's a different.
I don't know which of the Waltons this is. It could be the Walton Penners that obviously own the Broncos that could be in the mix, but apparently it says the Walton family is the odds-on favorite.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Darnell Dixon at the top of the hour, Daily Herald. We'll talk Cougar football with him. Stay with us.
They've been doing it for a while.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
I think the Jazz want to make the playoffs this year, and they really have no motivation for not making the playoffs this year because their draft pick goes to the Memphis Grizzlies in the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade. How motivated are the Jazz actually going to feel to maximize the win total of this roster using all the assets available to them to get there? My guess is it's actually not as high as fans would think because they don't have to do anything exactly right.
The truth is they are dedicated to it. But that doesn't mean they have to do anything about it right now.
Sure.
But no, not one person in that building, if you went up to him and said, hey, is the Bosnian Beak your answer at center? Not one of them is going to say yes.
Right. Or Jackson Hayes.
Or any of that. No, they're not.
Yeah.
So, yes, they do need to address the problem, for sure. Do they need to address it right now?
I don't think so.
Absolutely not. No, why would they?
Catch Jake and Ben, afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Lakers have been sold. What is next? Isn't that the beauty of this job? You just really don't know.
Our job you're talking about?
Yeah, you don't know if anything's going to happen the rest of the week.
Oh, yeah, things change constantly. It's never stagnant. And if off-the-field stuff doesn't happen, then you've got on-the-field stuff. This Kalani choosing to say what he said has been a blessing. Thank you, Kalani. Because it has carried stuff for us. And it's important stuff, too. It's not just nonsense. It's not just talk to talk. It is important as far as a premier entity that we cover inside out, upside down, all that stuff. But yeah, and who knows? That's it. I said, like with Brian Santiago, he knows full well that if next week is quiet, the week after is going to be a storm. It just seems like it is one thing after another, man. And you never rest because it's just nonstop. And that's the world of sports. And there'll be something else that'll come around. Who knows?
This is total speculation, and it's going to lead to it until people dig into it and find out what the truth is. And I am sure people in L.A. and national people are digging into this right now, but I can't help but wonder, PK, I might be connecting dots that aren't there. But I look at this Lakers sale and think, how does that impact the baseball labor negotiations? I think people will connect the dots, and the answer will be a little bit at most, although they'll want to connect the dots and say a lot. I don't think I can sign off on a lot. Not off what I know right now, which is very little. But the guy selling the Lakers, Walter, owns the Dodgers. And he's the guy who spent $1 gazillion now and with these payments that stretch out decades into the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that has been the talking point of the owners. Oh, well, we just got to have a salary cap because the Dodgers are winning everything. And I told you at the start, I don't think that's it. I think it's about franchise valuations. They're escalating so fast. I mean, the Lakers were sold for $10 billion. It was approved in October. Walter hasn't run the club for a full year yet, and he's already flipped it for $12.5 billion. But he's also under federal investigation for alleged tax fraud by other companies tied to the billionaire. So does he need the money for this? What is the motivation here? Is he going to have to sell the Dodgers? And if so, how will they be run? And will that whole argument of the Dodgers go up in smoke? I don't know that it'll happen. I don't know that it would happen quickly enough. But I'm sure the people are digging into this, seeing if this sale is tied to that investigation and what's going on in that investigation and how might he be leveraged and who might he owe money and why does he need $2.5 billion?
Well, I think it's a logical connection, at least for an investigation or see what's up. What's going on here? Why? That's pretty quick that you've had this team and then you flip it so quickly. Normally you don't see that. This is not a starter house where you see real estate people do that.
Flip it in a year.
Yeah, that they're looking to do. Get in there, make the profit, flip it, and away you go. And we know that that's the way that things work in that industry. I don't see that here. So what are the reasons? And maybe there's something tied into it. I have no idea as far as that goes. Is there something relative to that? Or did they just think, hey, we need to downsize in a sense, and somebody's going to pay us $2 million more than we bought it for? All in favor? Aye.
25% profit on a $10 billion investment.
In such a short time.
Yeah, it went to $12.5 billion a year, which actually, in a way, may drive the owners for baseball even more. It's like, well, let's just get to the point. It really isn't about the Dodgers winning a lot of division titles and going to a lot of World Series. It's really about how come our franchises aren't escalating in value the way theirs are, because the Lakers just went from $10 billion to $12.5 billion in a little less than a year.
Yeah, but not everybody's the Lakers.
True story, but everybody's value is going up, and baseball just doesn't see their numbers going up as quickly as other leagues.
Well, to me, that's one of the reasons for expansion then, because you get an influx of cash, because it costs to buy in.
Basketball's expanding.
So
baseball's expanding. Hockey, actually, I just saw a story. Apparently, Houston and Austin are competing for team number 33 in Texas. Saw that story in the last couple days. There's all sorts of rumors and speculation. They'll go try Atlanta a third time and get it right this time. You can roll your eyes, but baseball tried Washington 3 times, and finally Washington, D.C., it looks like the Nationals have gotten it right the third time there. They lost Senators. They put another team in there, and one moved to Minnesota, and the second one moved to Texas.
Yeah. It does look like they're stable right now. Yeah. And they did win a World Series a few years back.
Yep. All right, DJ PK will keep you updated. We'll see what happens with the Lakers. Crazy story this morning. Sold for $12.5 billion. When we come back, Darnell Dixon, the Daily Herald, BYU football next. Stay with us.